This is just a little quick video. Just wanted to talk about the research and stuff that I've been doing today as I've been storyboarding the various events of the Bible, and I came to the Transfiguration, and it's just so interesting because you've got three accounts of the Transfiguration, and each one has slightly different details, and so it's quite interesting to compare them, and so I thought you might find it interesting. Basically, as we read them, you get you'd think they're having three different accounts. It might be difficult because then they might conflict or whatever, but they don't. And it's interesting because you read one and then you read another and you find out another little detail and stuff like that. So they go to the top of the mountain, and it's only in one of them that you find out that they're praying, which is in Luke. And then, that's when Jesus is transfigured. And it's only again in one of them where, I think again it's Luke, where it talks about the fact that so Jesus is transfigured, he becomes white, and Moses and Elijah appear. And in the NIV it has what I don't think is a terribly great translation, but it says, Peter and his companions became very sleepy, but when they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men standing with him. Basically, it's like this. It says, that's where I'm going to come and start. But it says that they felt the weight or something, and I think that it interprets that it means like the weight of sort of being sleepy, and but instead, when you kind of read it and think about it and stuff, and also it says that they kind of awoke afterwards, so they basically go pretty much unconscious, and the weight in one of the commentaries that I was looking at, interprets that as the weight of this glory, the spirit, the Shekinah glory kind of weighing down on them. It basically, and they use the word sleep, like it kind of makes them go unconscious. It pushes them down. They fall on the floor because of the great weight of the glory of Christ as he's transfigured, and God speaks to them and things like that. And there's also only one that tells you then that, so you remember that after they wait, and Peter says, it's good for us to be here, and we should build 3 shelters, one for you, Moses and Elijah, one for you. And it says, while he was speaking, the cloud enveloped them, and they're afraid as they entered the cloud. So it really gives you that sequence of events. Let's see as well. Also, it's Peter speaks when they were leaving, Moses and Elijah, as they were leaving. So, I mean, a lot of these details are actually in Luke, but in Mark, you don't really get as many. So it's helpful, because I'm drawing Mark at the moment, that as I look at the other accounts, it helps me to see exactly the sequence of events. Also, when God speaks to them and says, this is my son, you should listen to him, they fall on their face, and that's not in any. It's only in one of the accounts as well. And then it's after that Jesus picks them up and says, don't be afraid. And it's interesting, of course, because he's transfigured, and he appears, in white and everything. And it's a lot like in Revelation. But he also says, in the same way that the angel of the Lord often says, don't be afraid, straight afterwards. And that really helps them up. Let's see. And that's only in the Matthew one. So when the disciples heard this, they fell face down on the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. Get up, he said, don't be afraid. They looked up and saw no one except Jesus. So, again, you don't get that detail apart from in the Matthew account. So my point being, there's all these different accounts, and it's really helpful. I've got a couple of tools. One of them is a chronological Bible, and in the chronological Bible it puts events that, like if it's one event, has all three accounts or whatever, all the accounts of that event from the different Gospels in all together, and it's really helpful because then you can look and you can see lots and lots more detail about that same event and the things that are said. And sometimes, the writers will leave out a little bit, but they're not saying it didn't happen, but they're just not including it. And so I was just doing a few pages on where Jesus is. They're arguing about who's the greatest, and then he says, he brings the child in, says, if you're like a little child, and John responds and says, oh, we saw someone who was casting out demons in your name, and we told him to stop, and Jesus says, don't tell him to stop. But Matthew leaves that bit out, we saw someone, that he leaves that bit out and goes straight on into what Jesus says after that. And obviously it's presented as a sort of constant thing that Jesus is talking, but ultimately it's not contradictory. It's just that Matthew doesn't bother mentioning that John butts in and says, hey, we saw this guy. And he just carries on. But apart from that, it carries on exactly how it is. So it's interesting because then when you read the Matthew account, you don't realise, oh, John said something in the middle of this little discourse, and Jesus responded and stuff. But so when you read all of them together, it's just really beneficial. You're getting that much better idea of who's there, where they are, because often where exactly they are is only in one of them, and then so you get that context. They're here. These are the people who are here. These are the people who are talking, and this sort of thing. So I guess my point is that when why not in your own studies, when you're reading an account, make sure you go and read all the other accounts and try and really compare them. Obviously, I'm trying to draw it, so it makes it really, has to be visual. Like, where's this guy standing, and when are they talking, and where is this? Like, what place is it? Are they inside or outside? Or are they, so those sorts of things, also give you that really helpful context, because you can work out this is the same event, or this is an event which is similar but it's not the same event because it happens inside and that one happens outside, or something like that. So all these sort of elements are really interesting. So that would be my encouragement. So if you do your own research, make sure you compare with the other Gospels, and get yourself a chronological Bible or a chronological study. The one I've got is an NIV one, but I'm sure a lot of them are very sort of similar and helpful. I imagine a lot of them aren't perfect, but they're still going to be really much more helpful. So I pray that God's be with you, and if you like this video, click like, and maybe check out our other videos as well. Cheers, bye.